Oh, hey there, how you doing? So I'm out here getting a picture of this lake. Do you ever notice how sometimes there are things that are going on underneath the surface, but because people can't actually see them, they don't believe that anything is there? That's kind of what's happening with our water situation. People have been telling them that this is a spring-fed lake, but they just don't want to believe it. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. See, now we'll go a little closer. All right, now, I think I'll set that on a return to home and it can come by, but... Okay, you know what? I'm not going to get into my thoughts on local government and how those people who are elected and appointed should probably be rescinded or terminated or, yeah. No, not talking about that at all. Don't want to talk about that at all. Instead, what I want to talk about is how there are things that are under the surface that sometimes when we don't see them, you know, like a lake that is actually a spring-fed lake. Because if it's not a spring-fed lake, will somebody please tell me how we're using over 1 million gallons a day, and they said we only had 300 days left of water back in October, but here we are like 270 days later, and we still have 300 days of water. Oh, and we haven't got that much rainfall. Anywho, it's things that are beneath the surface. Like, you may not always see them, but just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not there. It's kind of like some of my online content creation that just because I'm not posting vlogs, it does not mean that I haven't been creating content. Turn you off, plug you in, unscrew this, you go there. You go there, you go there, and you get zipped up. Still got the wind muff? Okay. And I'm sure you guys can probably relate to that, especially when it comes to like a spiritual component, that oftentimes when we are growing in our faith, it's things that people can't really see on the surface. It takes some time for that. See how the farmer waits for the precious fruit of the earth, waiting patiently for it until it receives the early and latter rain? You also be patient. Establish your hearts, for the coming of the Lord is at hand. What should we expect? Expect the fulfillment of the promise. Expect the realization of God's plans and God's purposes in your life. When you are waiting in Him, you expect that what He said was going to happen is actually going to be happen. In the same way that a farmer understands, if I have good ground and I plant good seed and there's a good rain, I get a good harvest. I don't know. What am I even saying? It's kind of like with the digital ministry, the online content creation, sharing God's love that I'm trying to do. Oh, look, there's some Converse over there. Where was I again? It's like the last 5 years, what I've been doing is really making sure that the ground was ready for a digital ministry harvest. And I've been trying to find the right seed and making sure that it is the right seed for the right ground that I've got. And I believe I'm there. Now all I've really got to do is just apply the rain and wait. And yet, sometimes waiting is hard, but sometimes waiting is necessary. And you guys are going to have to wait for the conclusion of this until I get back home. Can you hear that? We're getting rain. Ooh, and I wonder if there's going to be a little bit of a correlation to my content creation getting a little bit of rain so we have a good harvest of stuff. And I would say yes. So I told you that there were some things going on beneath the surface and that you guys haven't been seeing a lot of what's going on. You know, some of those that have got in on the digital ministry membership that I've got over on my website, they've been able to see a little bit of some of that because of uploading things in advance, you know, like the digital ministry podcast. You've probably seen I've been updating and uploading some of that, but what you may not realize is that I've got the next 2 weeks worth of podcast episodes completely done. They are uploaded and ready to go on YouTube. They are uploaded and ready to go on Spotify for podcasters. And I've even been using TubeBuddy to automate the scheduling and sharing process of those, so that way my digital ministry members, they wind up getting access to each episode a week in advance. And I've got that post for next week's episode already done. And I've even got the post for the following episode, which they would get access to it next Monday, but it doesn't come out public until the Monday after. That post is actually scheduled as well. And on top of it, look at this. I've actually got 4 different blog posts that have been written, and those are written, they're blog posts based on the digital ministry podcast episodes, but in a more bite-sized condensed version with a link to the YouTube podcast episode as well. And this has been the most consistent that I have been with the digital ministry podcast, and it's something that I've wanted to do for a long time. I initially started it back in 2019. I did 5 episodes, and then I got burnt out on the format and the method, because I realized that the way that I was doing it, it wasn't quite the good ground yet. And then in 2021, I relaunched it again, and I did 5 more episodes of that. And then it was like, I'm going to try this live streaming method where I can kind of answer people's questions on the fly and try to get this topic that I've already been asked out. And yet that still wasn't quite the good ground that I needed. But then a few weeks back, I was like, we're going to go ahead and launch this again. And I've already done 5 episodes. I think they've all been recorded, edited, uploaded, scheduled, published in the last 2 weeks. I'm definitely more consistent in this because I have found the way that I need to do it. So when it comes to this digital ministry thing, I think what I've really done is I've kind of gotten to the place where I have a good ground, a format that really works for me. And obviously I've got a good seed because I'm able to tie in what we're doing and I've got the experience for it. And all I needed now is just a little bit of that rain. And that's just me doing the work and putting it together. And when it comes to like waiting for the harvest, I think this is also a misconception for many of us. When we think about waiting, we think that it's passive, but waiting should be purposeful. Like when we're waiting for something. And for me, it's not passive. It is purposeful. For me, it's more of a posture of how I'm holding and conducting myself. And so I'm waiting with an expectation. And so I'm staying active. I'm doing this, even though some of y'all may not see it. And it's not just the digital ministry podcast. I mean, while I'm not up to a vlog a week status yet, I did actually get 2 last month, so that's good. And we'll see what happens this month. Maybe. And then I've also been working on this little side project with my older 2 brothers. It's a wrestling-related podcast where, we're just kind of talking about the things that are happening in the wrestling business and giving our thoughts and opinions on it, with also some of our insights as former pro wrestlers ourselves. It's been fun and interesting. I mean, come on, we're brothers, we're siblings, we're related to each other. Of course it's going to be interesting. We've got some strong personalities, some thoughts and opinions about how we think things should go, and it's just a navigation process in the early stages of this, of figuring out what is this going to look like, how are we going to do it, is it actually going to be something that we enjoy doing, is it going to be something that people enjoy listening to, and we're still early in, so we'll see how things go, but I'm hopeful, because it is kind of fun just to chat with them and talk shop, and we were already doing that, so why not just do it in front of a camera and record it and put it up there in case anybody wants to listen to us banter. But yeah, I got some things that we're working on, so I'm staying busy. But it's just a case that not everybody sees what's going on under the surface. But I guess all that is to say that, things are looking up. Lake level's increasing. And so is my content production. That's all I got. We'll see you in the next one. Stay blessed, enjoy God's best, have a great day.